Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Masses32210. Well, today's been a fun day. The golf cart is officially running. I appreciate y'all guys watching and keeping up with some of these videos that I'm doing. Moving a little tripod around, just trying to get y'all to get a good look at this. Definitely have enjoyed this project. It's definitely fun and creative. Yes, if you do notice, the engine is here to the rear. I thought this was going to be completely wrong. It's honestly the only way I could actually put this engine, and I'll show you why here in a second. If you ever, if any of y'all ever keep up with my channel, you probably have seen Fearless Front. I believe the guy's name is Todd. I just happened to be goofing around yesterday on the internet after I've already done this setup like 2 weeks ago, and I happened to see he did an Easy Go the same exact way, except the only difference was instead of using the regular cheesy little regular go-kart clutch, he had the torque converter style clutch, which is definitely cool and unique. But you see, you can kind of get a view right here. If you notice, this is the aluminum part of the frame. It's like a little L bracket that ran across. Same thing on the other side. Right there was a little, I guess, a hitch, and something else was bolted up. What I did was, originally my first test consisted of using an aluminum plate that I had, because aluminum was soft and easy to drill and cut. I went ahead and used that to try to get basically a good template. I tried it, I ran it, it did work, but I had a lot of chain flop. At that point I didn't kind of care for it, but I knew I would change it. Since I do hoard a lot of bits and metals, that's where this thick, it's a little over 1/8 of an inch thick metal plate. Sucker's solid. So what I did was, if you notice right there, is what I did was here is I drilled a hole, a 1/2 inch hole, coming straight up. The bolt is actually smaller than that. I've got a washer on the bottom side. Right there's a little piece of tubing I had. It's a nice thick wall. I made a spacer, come right up through that metal plate, put the nut and bolt, got the back of the engine there, and right here, right where my finger's pointing, goes to that little kick up, whatever, little L, goes right through the metal plate and bolts to the engine there. On the front side, let me see if I can get y'all. Apologize if this is going to get a little shaky. Let's see. On the front side right here, if you notice, I've got the engine just bolted to the plate. Kind of the same way I did with the aluminum plate. Everything was just bolted up, but I had a lot of engine movement, and I realized then where I goofed up. Thinking of a practical, easy way. Oh, sorry guys. I come by and used angle iron, just simple bed frame stuff that I have lying around, a bunch of it under the bench. Made a simple little bracket. As you can see, it comes down, has a single bolt, goes through the frame, and that's a hole that was already in the frame, so I didn't have to drill anything else. And I come back through and welded it here and here, so that way the whole thing moves as one. And when I say moves as one, as you've already noticed, that there's threaded rod in here where the shocks go. Both shocks were actually shot. The one on this side was completely shot. The other side was actually stuck. Didn't work. Which came to my advantage because I used 1/2 inch threaded rod going right through the original shock mount down there. And what I did basically was make a tensioner for this rear end. It still does have a little up and down movement flop. Because, you know, it's still a leaf spring down there. But, you know, it still was a good way of getting the tension on the chain where I could have the engine itself solidly bolted up. That way it cuts down the movement. Now, once in a while, when I'm releasing the throttle, I do get a little bit of chain hit right here. But I believe I'm just going to notch that just a hair to eliminate that. And as I promised in my last video, there's something creative I wanted to show. If you remember me talking about in my last video, a lot of people just find a gear, match the size shaft they got. They just go in and weld the darn thing up right to it. Then in the end, whenever something goes wrong with this gear, there's no way of changing it because now you've welded it. What I've done is this piece right here, the center piece is a hub. They're found at Tractor Supply. They're approximately like $8, $10. And you just find the inside diameter of whatever shaft you're using. And what I mean by shaft is that the hub has a keyway cut out in it. And so what I proceeded to do was I took my digital caliper and realized that I have a 3/4 inch input shaft. It was like a 9 spline, I believe. I found the actual adapter to adapt to it, and I was going to do something different, but at $60 for the adapter, it was definitely not worth it. So what I did is take my Dremel, and right here I just cut a little keyway out, put my key in, slid the hub right onto it, took the gear that I wanted, which you can find the hubs in all different various sizes, as far as inside diameter and outside diameter, and there's different gear sets. Right now what I did is I have a 12-tooth gear on my axle, I have a 10-tooth sprocket on the clutch, and it's just now hooked up to the golf cart rear end. And if you notice, I've cut a large portion out of this, where this would have been the mounting for the electric engine that was on here originally. Still have to come in and clean this up, and I'm going to take the piece from here, I'm going to cut the reset up this little piece and JB weld it back shut. That was a goof up on my part, because originally what I started was actually trying to fit the engine right here. But now I understand why, if you're going to build a golf cart conversion from electric to gas, your Cushmans, your E-Z-Gos, anything with a steel frame is actually better. And the reason is they have a straight frame all the way. If you notice, as I kind of pull away from the shot, how this frame is kind of a V style frame, and that's what made it kind of difficult. But in overall, I can't complain. This has definitely been, it's a fun little toy. It's not really fast at all, but it's got the torque and the throttle that I need. Just going to be a simple neighborhood cart. Next step after this is going to be to go ahead and build some kind of rear body, which I'm going to build it kind of like a little Jeep or a truck bed. If I can pull off the Jeep, they have it down in Orlando where I can pick up an actual fiberglass Jeep front end to go on here. And I believe that's what I might end up doing. That will be the next video, is actually constructing some kind of body. I've took this out twice now for test rides. Yes, that Windfresh, whatever, blue bucket, that's the seat. Only thing I could use for a temporary seat just to get a quick ride. That's how I found out the aluminum plate was too thin and flimsy, and that's how I did this little setup. Cable, so far that cable didn't really cost me nothing, because I bought another throttle cable for something years ago off eBay, and that came with it, and I was like, I was going to chunk it, and I said, well, I'll just leave it on the peg hooks. It did come in handy. Now I've got a throttle, got the throttle cable for my homemade pedal all the way back. Harbor Freight Predator 212cc engine. This sucker rides. Probably on the next video, what I'll do is I've got my little helmet cam. I'll take that and mount my little camera to it, and we'll take you on a test drive. I just got done for the evening. Had to do all this fabbing up, welding and stuff, so getting kind of tiresome. Besides getting a body built, if you notice, I've actually cut that piece out, which was a mistake. I cut it out trying to get the engine in there. Now I have to go get a piece of aluminum. Either we're going to weld it in, or we're going to have to bolt it up. Even though the way the frame is built is very sturdy, it shouldn't really affect it, but I'm going to add something back in there just to make sure. And with the body on, we're going to utilize all this down here as some kind of storage. Who knows for what? So, I might even drive the kids down to the park on this, so could be toy holder down there, so we'll figure it out. Guys, as always, I appreciate you watching my videos. Hey, please rate, subscribe, thumbs up if you think this is a fun project and you think it was well worth it. If you thumbs down me, just do me a favor and just let me know why. Like, what do you see that I've done wrong? Because I do like learning from my mistakes, and I have made a couple on this project. But I've got it running, and that's what counts. Thank you guys so much.